What a hearty, comforting dish to have for fall or winter coming up. It's my one pot cabbage roll casserole. It has ground beef, rice, tomato soup, cabbage, seasonings, rotel, and topped it with cheese. It's like taking cabbage rolls, deconstructing them, cooking everything in one pot. This recipe can be found in my second cookbook. It's the white one right here. So if you want to check that one out, it's in my recipe blog, catherinesplates.com, under the cookbook tab. I've got 2 pounds of ground beef in my large Dutch oven, or you could even use a large pot. We're going to turn this on, start browning it up, and then we're going to dice up an onion. Now, when this recipe came out in my cookbook, I'd always put my onion in with some oil, brown it up, and then add the ground beef and drain out any excess grease. Keeps us from adding any excess oil to our pot. Now, you can go either way. You can use the oil, or you can just use what grease the hamburger makes to soften down your onion. Got a large onion here. We're going to take off both ends, take off that outer layer. I'm going to cut the onion in half. I'm going to cut strips and then cut those strips into dices. And then that's as fast as you can cut an onion, let me tell you. Now, I love this recipe, and it's almost a single recipe, so it'll feed a family of 4 to 6. I'm kind of doubling up a little bit on this recipe today. And that's what I love about recipes. You can change them up, double them up, whatever you want. Now, I created this recipe because I love cabbage rolls. Grew up with them. My mom made them all the time. I wanted a quicker version. Created the one pot cabbage roll casserole. Everything that we like about a cabbage roll happens in the one pot. And I'm going to make a lot. I'm always feeding my kids. They moved out, but they always need food. They're not ready to make this kind of stuff at their house yet. Okay, let's take a look at our ground beef. While that is browning up, I'm going to go ahead and add half of my onion here. I'm going to chop up the other half and add that. I'm going to add the rest of the onion. This was a pretty large onion, but we're doing 2 pounds of ground beef instead of the 1.5 that was in the recipe. We're going to cook this down until the ground beef is browned up and the onions are nice and softened. We'll drain it, and then we're going to add a lot of good stuff. Let's go ahead and work on the cabbage and just get that done, because everything else is just going to be kind of a dump and go recipe, okay? So I'm going to take a head of cabbage. I'm just going to cut off everything on it. Just make slices. Now, this is a nice size head of cabbage. I'm liking this one here. Now, if you want to try your hand at real cabbage rolls, go check out my recipe blog, catherinesplates.com, because I have a recipe out there that shows you really easy how to put it together. This will wilt down. We'll deal with that right here. Then we're just going to take our cabbage that we've cut down. Just going to kind of make slices. You want bite-sized pieces. And then I'll just turn that around and then go through it. You want it to be really easy to eat. All right, I'm just going to place it into a bowl right now till we're ready for it. This recipe calls for about 3 to 4 cups of chopped cabbage. I'm going to be wilting down a whole bunch of it. All right, I've got some paper towels in there, and I'm just going to drain any excess grease out of our browned ground beef and softened onion. We're going to start adding the cabbage, wilting it down just a little bit to make room in the pot for our other ingredients. So I'm going to take some of my cabbage, add it in. We're going to stir it up till it wilts down just a little bit, and then add the rest. Now, if I think I don't have room for all of it, we can just use it. I can shred it up even finer and make a coleslaw with it. So I'm not worried about that. I can saute it down with chicken broth, butter, salt and pepper, and a little garlic powder. Makes a great sauteed cabbage too. We did that for y'all when we did our hamburger steaks for 2. So you can check that out. Now, in my recipe, it doesn't call for wilting down the cabbage. I do that to get myself some room in the pot. I've learned from that, especially considering I add more cabbage than just the 4 cups. But you don't have to do that to save you some time. Okay, what we're going to do now is add our 2 cans of tomato soup. That's very typical in my cabbage rolls. And we're going to fill up, both cans with water. I'm going to pass that on to my husband. While he's doing that, we're going to add in 1 can of rotel tomatoes. Rotel tomatoes are diced tomatoes and green chilies. Now, normally in a cabbage roll, I don't add this. It's not in the original recipe, but I put this in there for flavor. If you don't want the green chilies in there, then just put in a can of diced tomatoes. All right, we got our water. On a good day, you can go in and swirl it and get any excess out if you want. But that's good enough. And then we're going to add 1 can of chicken broth. Oh, I showed you all that backwards. There we go. I'm going to fill the can up. Now, chicken broth is kind of a subtle flavor inside of this dish. If you have beef broth and you want to use that, you can do that. 10 ounces. We're going to add that. And then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm using my jarred garlic. I'm going with all of that. Yum. All right. I'm going to make sure that my heat's on a high. We're going to go in with some pepper, probably about half a teaspoon. And then we're going to add in my salt. This is a Celtic salt that we're using.
AKA crunchy salt.
Some of y'all might know that, and some of y'all don't. I'm going to go in with a little extra because we got all that cabbage and the tomatoes in there. I think that'll be good. What we're going to do is stir this all together. Give it a taste. And make sure our seasonings are where we want them. Okay, I'm going to grab a spoon. Just kind of give that liquid right there a try. There we go. Okay, we got to add the rice. 1 cup. Now you want white long grain rice. You can either use like a Mahatma or a basmati rice, whatever you like. I've got half a cup here. I'm going to go in twice because that fits in my container here. Now you want to make sure we're bringing this to a boil. We're going to stir the rice in to get into that liquid so it can cook. Now we do have something else that's going to happen to this. Okay, I'm going to bring my lid over. Now that we had a boil on that, we're going to turn down the heat to a kind of a medium low. We're going to cook this for 20 minutes until that rice is nice and tender and the cabbage nice and tender and absorbed all of the liquid inside here. And I'm going to show you how we're going to finish this off. You're not going to believe this one. All right, I'm going to be grating up 1 cup of cheddar cheese. I turned off the burner. I checked the rice and the cabbage and it's completely done. So it's just sitting there kind of absorbing any excess liquid. Look at this cheese, you guys. Look at that. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this.
Gonna eat it.
Yeah. You know, when you make regular cabbage rolls, there's no cheese in it. But this is a casserole, 1-pot recipe. That's what we're going to do right there. All right, let's take the lid off. I want to show y'all this. Woo, look at that. Ooh, Y'all know what's going to happen. We're going to take this cheese right here. We're going to sprinkle it all on top. What we're going to do, we're going to place the lid on. That should take just a few minutes. All we want to do is melt that cheese. Ooh, look at that. We're going to take some fresh parsley, garnish it, make it look nice. There we go. There is my 1-pot cabbage roll casserole. It has ground beef, rice, tomato soup, cabbage, seasonings, rotel, and topped it with cheese. Look at all of that. Yum. Let me get a little plate right here. Get some of that cheese on there, right on the top. Oh yeah. There it is. I'm going to grab a fork, give that a try for you. Don't forget that cheese. What a hearty, comforting dish to have for fall or winter coming up. It's so delicious, nice and warming. Those hearty ingredients in there. Y'all, give me a thumbs up on this one. Make sure you comment down below. Share this recipe with family and friends because you know they want to make this too. I'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye.